Hello, this is Sarah. I'm going to read you the Juniper story today, which goes like this. Since I didn't deserve anything, my parents handed my sister my birthday present. I didn't say a word. When they arrived to my residence 3 years later, they said, "Your sister deserves this place more than you." I did it with a smile. All right, let's leave. Juniper here, and I'm 22. I recently earned a degree in design from college, which feels miraculous because I paid for the majority of it myself. Although it hasn't felt like home in a long time, I still live with my mom and stepfather in the house where I grew up. My mom married Dave 7 years ago when I was 15. He moved in with his daughter, Sarah, who's 26 now and has been living with her boyfriend, Marcus, for the past few years. They come over pretty regularly for dinner and family stuff. On paper, we look like this perfect blended family, but the reality is way messier. When Dave first moved in, my mom went all out trying to make him and Sarah feel welcome. She basically reorganized our whole life around them. Sarah got the bigger bedroom. Dave's stuff took over the garage where I used to do art projects. Suddenly, every conversation was about making sure the new family felt comfortable. I get it. Blended families are hard. But somewhere along the way, I started feeling like the outsider in my own house. Sarah had her college completely paid for by our parents. When it was my turn, suddenly there were budget constraints and lectures about responsibility. I worked my ass off and got a full scholarship, but I still had to cover books, supplies, and living expenses. I've been working at this local design firm for 3 months now. The pay isn't amazing, but it's a start. I'm saving everything I can in a separate account because I want to get my own place. My parents know about the savings. I told them because I thought they'd be proud that I was being responsible and planning ahead. Instead, I keep getting these weird comments about how I'm hoarding money while still living at home. Like last week, my mom made this comment about how nice it must be to not have any real responsibilities while building up a bank account. Dave chimed in with something about how, when he was my age, he gave his parents half his paycheck. I give them money for groceries and utilities, but apparently, it's not enough. The hints have been getting stronger lately, comments about how crowded the house feels, how maybe it's time for everyone to spread their wings, how adults shouldn't be living with their parents forever. I'm trying to save enough for first month, last month, and security deposit, plus furniture. That takes time when you're making entry-level designer money. Tonight, when I got home from work, Sarah and Marcus were already there. I could hear them in the kitchen with my mom and Dave, voices all excited about something. I caught fragments, amazing opportunity and perfect timing and once in a lifetime. I figured they were talking about Marcus' job or maybe some vacation they were planning. I went upstairs to change out of my work clothes and wash off the day. When I came back down 30 minutes later, everyone was already seated at the dinner table. My mom had made her usual Wednesday night chicken, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood. I sat down and started serving myself some vegetables. When my mom cleared her throat in that way, that means she has something important to say. She said, "Juniper, we have some exciting news to share with you," smiling at Sarah. Sarah was practically bouncing in her seat. "We're going to the Bahamas next month. Marcus found this incredible package deal, and we're finally going to take that trip we've been talking about forever." "That sounds amazing," I said, genuinely happy for them. "You guys have been working so hard. You deserve a vacation." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "It's going to be perfect 5 days, 4 nights, all-inclusive resort. The whole thing comes out to about $10,000. I nearly choked on my chicken. $10,000? That was like 4 months of my salary. "Wow, that's a lot of money," I said carefully. My mom's smile got a little tighter. "Well, that's actually what we wanted to talk to you about." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes bright. "The thing is, we don't actually have the money saved up yet. But we know you do. You've been putting away money in that account for months now." I stared at her. "I'm sorry, what?" My mom continued, "Since your family and families help each other out, maybe you could lend Sarah and Marcus the money for their trip. They'll pay you back, of course." The room went completely quiet, except for the sound of Marcus cutting his chicken. I looked around the table at all their faces. My mom was nodding encouragingly. Dave was watching me with this expression like he was waiting for me to do the right thing. Sarah looked hopeful and excited. No, I said. I'm not giving you $10,000 for a vacation. That money is for important things. It's my emergency fund, my apartment fund. It's for my future. Dave's face darkened. Your future? What about family? What about helping out people who've supported you your whole life? Supported me? I could feel my voice getting louder. Sarah's college was paid for completely. Mine wasn't. I've been working and saving every penny while living here and paying you rent and grocery money. This is the first time I've ever been able to save anything substantial, and you want me to just hand it over for a vacation. It's not just a vacation, my mom said sharply. It's their honeymoon. They've been together for 3 years. They deserve something special. Then they should save for it themselves, like I'm saving for my own goals. Dave slammed his hand on the table, making all the dishes jump. Ungrateful. That's what you are. Completely ungrateful. Your mother and I have given you a roof over your head, food on the table, and this is how you repay us? By hoarding money while your sister needs help. My mom didn't say anything. She just sat there, nodding along with Dave's words. I left my dinner half-eaten and went up to my room. As I climbed the stairs, I could hear them talking in low, angry voices, but I couldn't make out the words. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding. $10,000. They wanted me to hand over $10,000 like it was nothing, like all those months of careful budgeting and saving meant nothing, like my dreams of independence meant nothing. The next morning, nobody said good morning to me. My mom, who usually had coffee ready and asked about my plans for the day, was nowhere to be found when I came downstairs. There was no breakfast waiting, no casual conversation about work, just silence. The silent treatment lasted exactly 1 week. 7 days of my mom pretending I didn't exist, of Dave giving me dirty looks whenever we crossed paths, of eating breakfast alone while listening to them laugh and chat in the other room. It was like I'd become invisible in my own house. My birthday was coming up on Friday. I'm not usually big on birthdays, but I was hoping things would get back to normal. Mom always made a big deal about birthdays, homemade cake, favorite dinner, the works. Even during the worst times, she'd always acknowledged my birthday. Thursday night, I dropped some hints. So, tomorrow's the big day, I said when I ran into her in the hallway. She just looked at me blankly. What day? My birthday. I'm turning 23. Oh, she shrugged and walked away. Friday morning came and went without a word. No happy birthday over coffee, no special breakfast, nothing. I told myself they were probably planning something for the evening. Maybe they needed the whole day to prepare a surprise. I bought myself a really nice chocolate cake on my way home from work. It cost $40, which was more than I usually spent on myself, but it was my birthday. I deserved something good. When I walked through the front door carrying the cake box, I could hear voices in the dining room. Sarah and Marcus were there again, sitting around the table with my parents. Perfect, I thought. They're all here for my birthday dinner. I walked into the dining room with the biggest smile I'd had all week. Hey everyone, look what I brought for dessert. I set the cake box on the table with a flourish. The conversation stopped dead. Everyone stared at me like I just announced I was joining the circus. My mom's face was stone cold. What exactly are we supposed to be celebrating? My smile faltered. It's my birthday. She waved her hand dismissively. That's not a reason to buy an expensive cake and expect everyone to drop everything. Sarah and Marcus actually laughed, not like a polite chuckle, but real laughter, like I'd told the funniest joke they'd ever heard. Wait, I said, looking around the table. You guys forgot it was my birthday? Dave leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. We remembered just fine. We remembered right up until you decided money was more important than family. What's that supposed to mean? My mom reached into her purse and pulled out a white envelope. This was going to be your birthday present, $500 from Dave and me. She opened the envelope and fanned out the cash like she was showing off a winning poker hand. But after your little performance last week, after you showed us exactly what kind of person you really are, we decided to give it to someone who actually deserves it. She slid the money across the table to Sarah, who snatched it up with a delighted squeal. Oh my God, thank you so much. This gets us so much closer to the trip fund. I think we only need, For $1,000 more now. Sarah started babbling about resort activities and snorkeling excursions, but I couldn't hear her anymore. There was this buzzing in my ears, like all the sound had been sucked out of the room. Since you don't want to act like family, my mom continued, we're not going to treat you like family. No birthday celebration, no special dinner, no presents, nothing. I stood there holding the cake box, feeling like an idiot, like a kid who'd shown up to the wrong birthday party. I asked you for one thing, Dave said. One simple thing, help out your sister when she needed it. And you couldn't even do that. It wasn't a simple thing, I managed to say. It was $10,000. It was family, my mom snapped. But apparently, your bank account matters more than that. I looked at Sarah, who was still counting the money with this huge grin on her face. I looked at Marcus, who was pulling up something on his phone, probably booking more expensive excursions. I looked at my parents, who were staring at me like I was a stranger who'd wandered into their house. Nobody even noticed when I left the room. I left the cake on the table for my parents and sister and went upstairs without it because I didn't need this cake. I sat on my bed and thought about everything, how when Dave and Sarah moved in, suddenly my mom had no time for me, how Sarah got her college paid for while I worked 2 jobs during school, how every conversation became about making the new family comfortable while I learned to stay out of the way. I thought about my real dad, who left when I was 13. My mom always called him a deadbeat, said he abandoned us for some other woman. She made me so angry at him that when he tried to stay in touch, I wouldn't even talk to him. He still sent child support, still sent graduation cards, but I threw them away because my mom said he was just trying to ease his guilt. Maybe she was right about him. But sitting there in my room, holding a birthday cake nobody wanted to share, I realized something. I'd been on my own for a long time. Even before tonight, even before the money thing, I'd been handling everything myself while watching my mom bend over backward for her new family. I was tired of being the outsider, tired of being treated like I should be grateful for basic decency, tired of watching everyone else get what they wanted while I worked for scraps. I spent the whole night packing, every piece of clothing, every book, every art supply. I called my friend Amy at midnight. Can I stay with you for a while? Just until I find my own place. Of course. What happened? I'll tell you tomorrow. I just need to get out of here. Sunday morning, my parents were still asleep when I loaded my car. For years of college, a lifetime of belongings, all packed into my Honda Civic. I didn't leave a note. I didn't say goodbye. Amy lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment across over, but she made space for me on her couch without asking any questions. That first morning, over coffee and toast, I told her everything, the money demand, the birthday disaster, all of it. My phone buzzed around dinner time. A text from my mom. Where are you? I stared at it for a long time before typing back, I moved out. Her response came immediately, okay. That was it, just okay. Not come home, not let's talk, not even are you safe. Just acknowledgement that I was gone, like I was some houseguest who'd overstayed my welcome. 2 weeks later, I found a studio apartment 20 minutes from work. It wasn't much, basically a room with a kitchenette and a bathroom the size of a closet, but it was mine. The rent ate up half my salary, but I didn't care. I had my own space, my own key, my own life. The first year was hard. I worked overtime whenever I could get it, ate a lot of ramen, bought furniture from thrift stores. But I was happy, really happy in a way I hadn't been in years. My family didn't call, didn't text, didn't invite me to anything. Christmas came and went without a word. My birthday passed in silence. It was like I'd never existed. A couple of my aunts called around the holidays, asking why I wasn't at my mom's for Christmas dinner. Just some family stuff, I'd say. Nothing major. I didn't want to get into it. What was I supposed to say? That my mom chose her stepdaughter's vacation over her own daughter's birthday? That they'd basically disowned me for not handing over my life savings? It sounded crazy even to me sometimes. Then, out of nowhere, my real dad called. I almost didn't answer because I didn't recognize the number, but something made me pick up. Juniper, this is your father. I hadn't heard his voice in 8 years. It sounded older, more careful. Dad, the word felt weird in my mouth. I heard you had some kind of falling out with your mother. I was wondering if we could meet up and talk. My first instinct was to hang up. Mom had spent years telling me what a terrible person he was, how he'd abandoned us, how he didn't care about me. But sitting there in my little studio apartment, completely cut off from everyone I'd grown up with, I thought, what did I have to lose? We met at a coffee shop downtown. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes were the same. He ordered us both coffee, and we sat across from each other like strangers. "I'm sorry," he said right away, "for everything, for leaving, for not fighting harder to stay in your life, for believing your mother when she said you didn't want to see me. She said you abandoned us. I left the marriage. I never wanted to leave you." His voice cracked a little. "Your mother made it clear that any contact with me would make things harder for you. She said you were angry and didn't want to see me. I kept sending cards, hoping you'd change your mind, but when you never responded, I threw them away. Mom said you were just trying to make yourself feel better." He nodded sadly. "I figured as much, but I never stopped hoping. When I heard through the grapevine that you'd moved out, that there was some big fight, I thought maybe now we could try again." We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his wife, Lisa, who seemed actually nice from how he described her. He told me about his job, his house, how he'd followed my college graduation online because he wasn't allowed to come. He apologized about 100 times. "I want to be in your life again if you'll let me," he said as we got ready to leave. "I know I have a lot to make up for." I surprised myself by saying yes. Lisa turned out to be amazing. She was warm and funny and never made me feel like an intruder in their life. She'd ask about my work, remember little details about my friends, treat me like I mattered. It was weird having a step-parent who actually seemed to like having me around. My dad had done well for himself. He owned a construction company and lived in this beautiful house across town. Every time I visited, he'd show me something new he was working on, ask for my opinion on design choices. He was proud of me in a way that felt completely foreign after years with my mom's family. When I turned 26, they threw me a surprise party, nothing huge, just a few of Dad's friends and Lisa's sister, but everyone was there for me. The cake had my name on it. The decorations were in my favorite colors. And when Dad handed me an envelope, I expected maybe a gift card or some cash. Instead, there were house keys. "It's small," he said quickly, like he was nervous. "Just a 2-bedroom, but it's in a good neighborhood, and the mortgage is paid off. I thought maybe you'd like to stop throwing money away on rent." I stared at the keys, then at him, then at Lisa, who was grinning like she'd been keeping the world's best secret. "You bought me a house. You're my daughter. You deserve to have something that's really yours." I burst into tears right there in their living room, happy tears, shocked tears, grateful tears. I couldn't remember the last time someone had done something for me just because they wanted to make me happy. The house was perfect, small but cozy with a little yard and big windows that let in tons of light. I spent weeks painting and decorating, buying real furniture instead of the secondhand stuff I'd been making do with. A month later, I posted a picture on social media, me standing in front of my house, keys in hand, with the caption, "So grateful to have my own place." Finally, the phone rang while I was unpacking kitchen boxes. When I saw Mom on the caller ID, my first instinct was to let it go to voicemail. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. "Juniper, honey," her voice was all sweet and gentle, like we talked every day. "I saw your picture. The house looks beautiful. I was just wondering where you got the money to buy something like that." Of course, not congratulations, or "I'm proud of you," or even "How have you been?" Just immediate suspicion about money. "That's none of your business," I said. "Honey, I'm your mother. I'm just concerned. On your salary, there's no way you could afford something like that. I hope you didn't get involved in anything questionable." "Questionable? Seriously? I just want to make sure you're okay. Maybe we could get together and talk. I've missed you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. I'm fine without you." I hung up and went back to unpacking, but my hands were shaking. Even after 3 years, she could still get under my skin. A few weeks later, I was in my backyard planting flowers when I heard voices in my driveway. I looked up to see my mom, Dave, Sarah, and Marcus walking toward my front door like they owned the place. I met them on the porch. "What are you doing here?" They pushed past me into my house without being invited. I watched them look around, taking in the hardwood floors, the new furniture, the art on the walls. Sarah's eyes were practically green with envy. "This is nice," Dave said, running his hand along my granite countertop. "Real nice. Must have cost a fortune." "How did you afford this?" my mom demanded. "I know what you make, and it's not enough for a house like this." "My father gave it to me," I said calmly. My mom's face went bright red. "That bastard. That absolute bastard. He abandons his family and then comes back throwing money around like some kind of hero." "He didn't abandon me. He left you." "Big difference. He's a traitor who walked out on his responsibilities." "You want to talk about traitors?" I could feel my voice getting louder. "You're the one who picked your new family over your own daughter. You're the one who took my birthday money and gave it to Sarah. You're the one who treated me like garbage." Before my mom could respond, Sarah jumped in. "Look, this is all ancient history. The important thing is that Marcus and I got married last year, and we're having a baby. I'm 3 months pregnant." I stared at her. "Congratulations, I guess. We need a place to live," she continued. "Marcus' job isn't going great, and we can't afford much on our own." "That sucks, but it's not my problem." My mom stepped forward. "Actually, it is your problem. You don't deserve a house like this. You should give it to Sarah and the baby." I actually laughed. "Are you insane? Why would I give away my house?" "Because you owe it to your family. You broke us apart with your selfishness. And now you need to make amends." "I broke you apart?" "You guys disowned me because I wouldn't fund Sarah's vacation." "You chose money over family," Dave said. "And now you need to choose family over money." "Get out," I said. "All of you, get out of my house right now." "We're not leaving until you agree to do the right thing," Sarah said, crossing her arms. "Then I'm calling the police." I pulled out my phone. That got them moving. They filed out, calling me selfish and ungrateful and worse. I locked the door behind them and immediately called my dad. "They want me to give Sarah my house," I told him. "They actually think I should just hand it over because she's pregnant." "Document everything," he said. "If they keep harassing you, we'll need evidence." They did keep harassing me. For almost a month, my phone rang constantly, voicemails from my mom about family obligation and guilt, texts from Sarah about how I was ruining her child's future. Even Marcus left messages about how I was being heartless. They called me selfish, greedy, and cold. They said I'd always been jealous of Sarah. They said I was a terrible person who didn't deserve good things. Some of the messages were straight-up threats about what would happen if I didn't do the right thing. I saved everything, screenshots, voicemails, the works. After a month of this crap, I gave it all to the lawyer my dad hired. The lawyer sent them a cease and desist letter that basically said, "Leave me alone or face legal consequences for harassment, threats, and attempted property theft." He sent it certified mail and email, so there was proof they'd received it. The messages stopped within a week, complete silence, just like that. I guess the threat of actual consequences scared them more than their need for free housing. That was 6 months ago. I still live in my little house, still work at the design firm, still have dinner with my dad and Lisa every Sunday. My life is quiet and peaceful and mine. I hear things through mutual friends sometimes. Sarah had her baby, a little girl. My mom tells everyone who will listen that I abandoned my family because I'm obsessed with money. She plays the victim, acts like she has no idea why I cut contact. I don't bother defending myself. The people who matter know the truth. The people who don't matter can believe whatever they want. I'm 27 now, and I finally understand what it feels like to be valued. My dad remembers the names of my friends, inquires about my work, and acknowledges my accomplishments. I get amusing memes and recipes from Lisa. They treat me as though I'm a part of their family. I occasionally ponder what could have transpired if I had given Sarah that sum of money 3 years prior. I'd most likely still be living in the bedroom from my youth, still being ignored, and constantly seeing other people receive what they wanted while I got nothing. I am instead surrounded by individuals who genuinely care about me, in my own home, and in my own life. The best choice I've ever made was to choose myself.